Welcome to another episode of the Save Yourself podcast. I am so excited to be joined by Dr. Anthony Youn today. Dr. Anthony Youn, if you don't know, and I'll have to hear more about this, you call yourself the America's holistic plastic surgeon. Anthony Youn, MD, is a nationally recognized board-certified plastic surgeon. He's recognized as a leader in his field. He's the author of the best-selling books, The Age Fix and Stitches, Playing God, and he has this new book called Younger for Life. You have a YouTube channel and you have 8 million followers on TikTok, 5 million subscribers on YouTube, and you have a complete holistic guide to turning back the clock using the process of autojuvenation. This is perfect topic to start with. What the heck is autojuvenation?
So autojuvenation is a term that I coined to basically explain how all of our bodies contain immense regenerative abilities to turn back the clock naturally. But in order for it to do so, we have to give it the right tools and the right environment to do that. And unfortunately, the way that we're living our lives in today's society, especially here in the United States, we just aren't doing that. And so really the idea of autojuvenation focuses on 5 different things. It's what you eat, when you eat, nutritional supplements, skincare, and non-invasive treatments. And so I firmly believe that if you focus on those 5 things, that the vast majority of people can look 5, 10 years younger, and hopefully prevent the desire from going under the knife.
So why do you call yourself America's holistic plastic surgeon? I want to know that part. It sounds like you incorporate a lot more than just plastic surgery.
Yeah, so I went through all the traditional plastic surgery training. So I did 4 years of medical school. I have my MD. I did 3 years of general surgery residency. I did 2 years of plastics. I did a year fellowship out in Beverly Hills with a top plastic surgeon. And I started my practice here outside of Detroit. And within 3-4 years, I became one of the top doctors in town. And I thought I had reached the pinnacle of success. I had patients flying in from all over the country to see me for facelifts and all these other operations. And then I had a patient who had a terrible complication from a facelift that I performed. And it really got me into thinking, am I doing the right thing? You know, I was always taught as a medical student, as a resident, as a fellow, that the goal was to bring my patients to the operating room. And I realized after really putting a lot of time and really kind of reassessing my career that I wasn't doing the right thing, that the goal shouldn't be to bring my patients to the operating room. My goal should be ideally to keep them out of the operating room, yet help them to look and feel their best. And so this was many years ago where I realized I didn't know what I didn't know. And there was so much I didn't know about preventative treatments, preventative lifestyle. And so I spent many, many years, basically in thousands of hours, studying from alternative medicine docs, from naturopaths, from chiropractors, from estheticians, from dermatologists. And I incorporated that into this idea of autojuvenation, of holistic plastic surgery, which is essentially using actual plastic surgery as a last resort. I still operate 2 days a week. I still see consultations in the office. I still perform surgery. But the goal is to try to help people so that they don't feel the need to get there. And if we can prevent them from needing surgery, then that's all the better.
I heard you talk about collagen supplements on a different podcast, and it really did change my views on collagen. Can you talk about what the research says about collagen, taking collagen in by the mouth?
Yeah, so, if you were to ask me 10 years ago, hey, what do you think of collagen? What does the science say? A lot of people at that time, and even now, are still saying, the science isn't clear. There are some studies that show that it might be helpful. But really, the naysayers will say collagen basically is a large protein. Collagen composes 70% of our skin. And it's the part of our skin, Amy, that causes it to feel tight and firm and smooth and youthful. But what we know is that our collagen degrades by about 1% a year starting in our mid-20s. Women in the first 5 years after menopause literally lose 30% of the collagen in their skin in just 5 years.
Oh my God, that's so scary to me.
Yeah. And so the goal really then is, how do we then replenish our collagen? How do we prevent that collagen breakdown? And the first thing is going to be giving your body the tools to basically support your collagen. And so collagen, once again, it's a large protein. So eating a healthy protein-rich diet is one way to help support that. But collagen supplements there's this belief that some people have that if you eat a certain food, an organ, that will then support that organ in your body. And that's in general not true. If you eat beef liver, that's not going to support necessarily your liver, or you eat brain from some animal, that's not going to support your brain necessarily, because it gets broken down into obviously its individual components. So why is it that taking a collagen supplement can appear to improve the collagen of your skin? Well, unfortunately, we don't really know, but there are a couple of keys here. The first thing is a good collagen supplement is not collagen that's in its technically pure form. It's collagen that has been broken down into individual amino acids and small peptides, which are small chains of amino acids. And this is done on purpose so that we can actually absorb it through our gut. And then there are studies that show that if you do go on a hydrolyzed collagen peptide supplement for 2 to 3 months, it can help to improve the thickness of your skin, the hydration of your skin, the wrinkles of your skin. And there have been studies that have even done biopsies of the skin, found an increasing amount after taking collagen supplements of collagen precursors, and even drawn blood from people and found an increasing amount of collagen precursors in the blood as well. So we know that it works. We don't know exactly why that works in that way. Whereas once again, if you eat the heart of an animal, that's not going to make your heart healthier. But it does seem to work. And the studies, there are a lot of studies that support it.
Do you think it's because people are just not eating adequate protein, and then when they have the hydrolyzed collagen supplements, they're just boosting their protein intake?
That could be it, although it is important to realize if you are taking a collagen supplement, it's not a complete protein, so you don't want to necessarily use that as your macro. So you have to still have the protein that you're, focusing on as far as what your daily recommended amounts would be. So I'm not really sure.
Okay, say you have your hydrolyzed collagen protein and you add it to your smoothie. You don't add that protein to your macro count for the daily protein count?
No, you should not.
Okay,
because it's not
that's very important.
Yeah, so it's more of a supplement add-on, but it's not something that you should say, oh, you know what, I don't need any more protein because I took this collagen. It's, let's say, 30 grams of collagen, and that's counts towards my protein. No, it should not.
That's actually really great information, because I think a lot of people use collagen supplements to actually add to their protein intake or macro intake, because so many women and men are on, high protein diets, and they're tracking the number of grams of protein that they need, and they think of collagen as a good source of protein.
No, I mean, the ideal situation is if you're going to mix, let's say, a collagen into a smoothie or a shake, add protein powder to that, and then the collagen just on top of it. But no, you don't want to count collagen as part of your daily protein allowance.
Okay, you said something about, losing collagen as you age, especially in menopause where it's accelerated. It's like the muscle loss is accelerated, the collagen loss is accelerated. And you said how much? 30% of your collagen is lost during those 5 years? Yeah,
30% is lost. And then approximately 2% every year. And that's why you see some women who are in their 70s and 80s, and their skin can be just tissue paper thin. It can literally tear if you scratch it. You don't see that so much in the men. Men's skin still gets thinner, but not to that extent of women. And there are some studies showing now that if you actually go on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and that's something you want to do obviously early, you don't start that late in the game, that can help actually slow down that collagen breakdown in the skin.
Okay, so my follow-up question to that, and I'm putting you on the spot because I didn't tell you that I was going to ask you this, but I'm really curious your thoughts. There's a lot of talk about using estrogen, kind of the vaginal estrogen cream on your face in the menopause world, because of this, this connection between estrogen and collagen loss during menopause. I know there's very, very few studies, obviously, on using vaginal estrogen on the face, but what is your hot take on this?
So my take, couple of things. There's a good friend of mine who's a gynecologist who's very holistic minded. His name is Dr. Shah. I don't know if you know Sean.
I don't know Sean.
We have a lot of common friends. Yeah. So he's written a book. He's great. He did do a video recently where he's basically saying, hey, save your money. Don't put this on your face, because if you have it, basically, if you orally take it or you have it as a patch, that's going to be enough for your skin. So first of all, what do the studies show? To my knowledge, I haven't seen any studies on estrogen cream in the face. However, there are some studies, my understanding, they may be more rat studies, that do show that an estrogen cream can potentially help to thicken collagen in general. But I'm not sure, like I said, exactly the power of these studies. So I haven't really focused on it a lot. I think the big thing you have to keep in mind is that If it's something that's made for the inner vaginal mucosa, then to put it on your skin, you should not expect that you're going to get penetration of that cream into your skin because it's made for the vaginal mucosa. It's made to be absorbed that way. It's kind of like back in the day, people would put Preparation H on their
Yes.
under eyes as a way to reduce under eye bags. Well, the fact is that Preparation H is made for your butt, not for your eyelids. And so there may be components of it that aren't necessarily ideal. My main concern is not if you put estrogen's cream on your face that you're going to cause a problem, but is it going to be absorbed through the skin enough to actually create an improvement? And that's where I would really focus. There are some companies now, just now, I think they're seeing this and they're getting on the bandwagon and they're getting actual facial creams with estrogen. I haven't really looked into those just yet because they're so brand new. I think there's a lot of, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But is there, to my knowledge, there isn't the data quite yet, but it is something that's so new. I haven't honestly spent tons of time looking for data yet. I will soon, though.
I think it's everyone is searching for, of course, the anti-aging secret that, people use all over the world and creams. And I think this just kind of goes in that category of, hey, you cannot undo years of sun damage, years of eating improperly, years of not exercising, years of doing all the wrong things, and then reverse it by using something like a topical estrogen cream. If it helps kind of holistically with all the other things that you're doing.
Yeah, and there are things you can use that can help with the collagen, So if you really are like, hey, I've gone through, menopause, I'm feeling my skin is thinner, then I wouldn't necessarily use an estrogen cream on your face. You want to use a retinol. Retinol has been scientifically proven to help thicken the collagen of your skin. You want to ideally get a cream with peptides. Peptides also, they're, as we talked about, we talked about peptides with collagen, okay? They're short chains of amino acids that actually act as cellular messengers to basically message your skin cells to create more collagen. And now there's even exosomes, which are also based, the idea is to do the same thing. So what we're trying to do is signal your cells to create more collagen. There are actual proven creams that are made for your face that are non-comedogenic that we know that work that you can definitely use. So why would you go with something that's not proven, that's made for the inside of your vaginal walls, not for your face? So that's my feeling. I think that would be something, though, like I said, I think it makes a lot of sense. Once again, my buddy, Dr. Tassone, and I trust him, he's anti that, but have there been studies to show that, if you go on HRT, that you don't need anything more to support your skin? I don't know that there is anything that's been done there. So just what he said.
Love it. So big question for my audience. I talk a lot about sunlight, morning sunlight, probably, to the dismay of a lot of dermatologists, because I believe that getting some sun is actually really good for you. And of course, you can be very appropriate about it. Do it early in the morning, do it for short periods of time, and then use sunscreen for the rest of the day. Tell me your thoughts about sunscreen. What is the appropriate time to use sunscreen? Is it like, UV index based, or tell me more about sunscreen?
But yeah, this is an interesting topic because you have dermatologists who are slathering it on their face, even if they're going to be sitting in a basement all day.
Yeah.
And then I've got friends of mine who are alternative medicine guys, or who are, some of them health coaches stuff, and they don't believe in sunscreen at all, and they feel that the sun is just all positive. And so I think, like most things in life, Amy, the truth is somewhere in between. Okay. So, I'm a plastic surgeon. I've had patients of mine come in to see me to reconstruct their face because they've got portions of their nose taken off, portions of their eyelid taken off, huge holes in their forehead because of cancer, skin cancer. My favorite singer of all time, Jimmy Buffett, recently died because of skin cancer. So you really want to take this seriously, but at the same time, I 100% understand and agree that there are certain benefits from the sun that you do want to get, Number one, there's a psychological benefit. I live in Detroit. We don't get sun a lot of the year. And when it does come out, it is nice to feel it on your skin. I get it. Number two, circadian rhythms, something that you've talked about before, it's getting that early morning sun, getting in your eyes, that can really help with the circadian rhythms. And then number three, everybody talks about vitamin D. There are studies that show that if you have Caucasian skin, 15 minutes of direct sunlight on your body is sufficient to prevent a vitamin D deficiency. If you have darker skin, you need more time in the sunlight than that. And where it can get questionable is if you've got very dark skin. If you're African American, then there's some people who will say you need over an hour in the sun to truly prevent vitamin D deficiency. So where's that happy medium? What I recommend in general is if you want to get that morning sun, do it in the morning, do it in the evening, get some sun, get your vitamin D levels checked to make sure that you're not deficient, because deficiency in vitamin D, as you know, and you've talked about on your podcast, can cause all sorts of problems with your health. But second thing, I think if you're going to be out, then I do recommend in general wearing sunscreen. I don't wear sunscreen every day. If I'm going to be out and about, especially if it's a sunny day, then definitely I put it on, especially on my face, because I don't want to get a chunk of my face removed that can be potentially disfiguring in the future. But also I'm choosy with the sunblocks that I use. There are certain sunscreens that have chemicals that have been potential hormone disruptors. Oxybenzone and octinoxate are the two big culprits. And so in general, these are very popular in kind of like drugstore and sunscreens that you buy at like Target and stuff like that. Try to avoid those if you can, because they may be potential hormone disruptors. Definitely try to avoid it in your children. Ideally, you want to go with a physical sunblock like zinc oxide. If you've got Caucasian skin and it's micronized, meaning that it is in smaller particles, then it doesn't leave so much of a whitish hue on your face. But if you've got darker skin, then those may cause you to look kind of ghostly and you may not like it. Then there are chemical sunscreens with ingredients like Mexoryl XL, like avobenzone, that have been shown not to be potential hormone disruptors. You want to look for those. It's kind of more like clean sunscreen, and those are going to be good. I have my own skincare line, as you know, youthful.com, and I do sell sunscreen at youthful.com, but they're not my brand because I don't want to go through all the FDA rigmarole. But they are what I would consider kind of clean sunscreens. Either they're made with zinc oxide or they're made with avobenzone, Mexoryl XL, no oxybenzone, and no octinoxate. And just a final tip, the Koreans, and I'm Korean, they know their sunscreen. And you can buy sunscreens from Korea that have great protection, that have advanced UV blockers that we don't have here in the States. And they usually are fantastic for the skin as well. But you have to get them from a company that basically brings it in from overseas.
Do you have any particular, so you have some sunscreen on your website that you actually stand by and think that would be a good choice?
Yeah, so we carry a company called La Roche-Posay.
Yeah.
It's a Swiss company, yeah, very famous one. And they have certain sunscreens that I have picked out specifically because they're either physical sunblocks that don't get absorbed through the skin, or for those people, once again, who've got darker skin, or even if you just want it to feel lighter on your skin, because those physical sunblocks can feel a little tacky, they can feel a little thicker, then we do have the lighter ones that also can feel just fine. So those are the ones that we usually recommend here in the States. If, however, you're so lucky to travel to Korea, then I would encourage you to look at some of the stores there, because there's some great brands out there as well.
So I didn't go to Korea, but I went to Japan over Christmas break, and I was just overwhelmed. Me and my 14-year-old daughter walked into kind of the skincare sections of these stores, and they had Korean skincare, they had Japanese skincare, they had Chinese skincare. I literally felt like so overwhelmed. There was like lights and sounds and people, and I came out with a few random things just because I was so overwhelmed. So I think having someone who understands the brands, understands the language, and can give recommendations is really key when you're trying to buy skincare from countries overseas.
Yeah, because the problem is in Asia, they're literally doing 12-step skincare routines. It's like, I mean, yes, there are people here in the States who are doing that, but not many. And they have literally developed products to add, just as a way, I think, to add another step. So for example, there are mists and there are essences, okay? And the average skincare enthusiast probably doesn't know what these are, but if you're really into it, then you know what these are, and they're basically like a place between, some people use like spring water, they'll have a little spray of spring water, they spray their face every so often. It's fine, just for some hydration. And then you have serums, which I'm a big fan of serums. Basically, they're not as thick as a moisturizer. And typically you put them on with like a dropper and they feel real nice on your skin. But then let's say in Korea, they make these essences, which are a little thinner than a serum, or they'll make mists, which are a little bit thicker than the spring water and have more active ingredients in it. But these are things you don't really need, just go with the serums, go with the moisturizers, and you don't need to do a lot of these extra steps.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I'm someone who believes that the skincare and makeup industry is really a ploy to, get women to think that they're not enough and to have them buy things that make them feel like they are enough or they're beautiful and younger. It's kind of like how cars and watches are marketed to men. That's how I feel skincare and makeup is marketed to women. Like this, if you buy this product, you will feel better about yourself and you can show others how, young and beautiful you are. And so I love the fact that you feel very strongly about simplifying your skincare routine or, really sticking to the basics, because I've always believed that. I don't know if it's going to work for me. Time will tell. But what are the basics? If you're someone who's just like, I just want to get down to the basics. I don't really care about doing 12 steps. I want to do the things that actually are going to make a difference in my skin.
Yeah, so in my book, one of the things that we shared is what I call the 2 minutes, 5 years younger skincare routine. And this is a skincare routine, very basic, took about 2 minutes a day. And then what we did is we tested people with average skin. Okay, so if you do this, you're not going to look, 5 years younger because your skin's too nice. But if you have quote unquote average skin, we tested people on it. We had them do it for 2 months. And then we took before and after photos. We put them on Instagram and polled people of like, how much younger do they look? And an average of about 5 years younger after just a couple months. And so this is what that entails. In the morning, you've got to cleanse your skin with a cleanser appropriate for your skin type. And so if you've got oily skin, you want to go with a foaming type of a cleanser. If you've got more, drier skin, if let's say you've gone through menopause and your skin's gotten a lot thinner, then you want to go with a more milky or a hydrating cleanser, okay? After that, you want to apply a vitamin C serum, an antioxidant serum. So antioxidants, you've talked about this, before. We know about antioxidants in food, how they fight free radicals. Well, actually, it's important for your skin too. Same idea. You're fighting free radicals on the surface of your skin to keep your skin nice and youthful. Vitamin C is the most popular antioxidant, not only in food, but it's also the most popular for skincare. And because it really can help to fight those free radicals, but it's also essential for collagen production. We talked about how collagen breaks down as you get older, so vitamin C can help prevent that. And most big skincare companies have a vitamin C serum that they sell. And then after that, if you're going to be out, then I do recommend a sunscreen, at least SPF 30. That's it. That's all you have to do in the morning. Cleanse, vitamin C serum, sunscreen if you're going to be out. In the evening, super important, you have to cleanse your skin. If you only wash your skin once a day, do it in the evening because you have to get rid of the day's worth of dirt and grime and pollution and all that stuff. If you wear makeup during the day, then you may want to start with either a micellar water or a makeup removing oil cleanser. So both of those are going to be really good to get rid of the makeup first, and then you follow that up with your gentle cleanser. That's called a double cleanse. After that, I recommend applying a retinol. Retinol is a derivative of vitamin A. If you ask dermatologists and plastic surgeons what's the #1 anti-age ingredient, they will tell you retinol. That's going to help thicken collagen. It's going to help increase exfoliation or turnover of your skin. And it can even reverse early pre-skin cancers. So it's a big deal. If you pick one anti-aging ingredient, then go with the retinol. And then you follow it up, if you need to, with a moisturizer. Moisturizers aren't mandatory. If you've got oily skin and it's August in New Orleans, you don't have to put a moisturizer on. But if you're living in New York City and it's February and your skin is parched, then by all means, throw on a moisturizer too. That's all you have to do really for the morning and evening. And then really 1 to 3 times a week, depending on how sensitive your skin is, you want to ideally exfoliate your skin, either with like a gentle scrub or with, let's say, a mild acid.
I love this. Okay, quick question for you. How many times a day should you be washing your face?
So at least once a day at night, ideally twice a day. Now, there's sometimes I wake up in the morning. If, let's say, I showered at night and I did all my skincare routine, then sometimes I'll wake up in the morning, especially if, let's say, it was cool at night, I wasn't sweating or anything at night, and I'll just rinse off with water. You don't necessarily have to cleanse your skin in the morning. Most people find, especially, like I said, if you're kind of a sweater, if you haven't changed your pillows in a while, then it's probably good to cleanse your skin, your face in the morning as well.
I've heard some things about if you're out and about and the UV index is less than 3, that it is not mandatory to wear sunscreen. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so some people will base it off the UV index. If it's a cloudy day and it's cloudy and rainy, then I don't wear sunscreen. Mm-hmm. Dermatologists will tell you, no, you still have to wear it because it's true. Some of the sun does get through the clouds. But I think, in the end, once again, it's kind of moderation. I think the problem is here in the United States, our sunscreens are so bad in that there's so many of them, feel so thick on your skin that it's hard to get people to use it. And I think it's so important for our FDA to open their eyes to the fact that all the other countries, the developed countries around the world, have such better advanced sunscreens than we do. The idea, ideally, that we could get sunscreen that feels just like you're putting your normal moisturizer on. I put I've got a brightening cream in my Youn Beauty line. I wear that every day. I'll put on a antioxidant moisturizer, and I don't even feel it on my skin. But if I put on sunscreen, even the good ones, the ones that we sell at our website, I can still sometimes feel that there. A lot of people don't want that. And unfortunately, it's a reason for them not to wear it. So, in general, like I said, I'm for moderation. I think that whenever you can, and definitely if you're going to be at risk of getting a sunburn or excess exposure, I do recommend wearing it.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice moderate view. I think a lot of dermatologists that I've seen and I've talked to are, they say funny things like what they look like at the beach, or, they're like cover from head to toe.
Yeah.
I think when you're at the beach or getting direct sun exposure, it definitely makes so much sense to, wear sun protection and wear sunblock. But I think for the daily use, I think it's nice to know that there is kind of some rules around it that, if it's a day that's cloudy, the UV index is low, you're not going to be spending lots of time outdoors sunbathing, that it's okay to skip the sunscreen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, if it's a cloudy day outside and I'm in the operating room all day and then I'm going to be in my office, then yeah, I myself don't put it on.
Okay, this is a big question that people ask me. What are your picks for your best bang for your buck kind of cosmetic treatments?
So yeah, I think one thing that I would definitely encourage people to consider, if you're on a budget and you want to help to support your skin, other than skincare products, which I think always the basis is going to be, the right food. So we'll skip over food because I know you cover food a lot in your podcast. But after that, it's going to be the right products. And if you're looking at actually do treatments, then the basic treatment that I would recommend for people to consider, and you can do this at home, is red light therapy. So red light therapy, interestingly, if I go to a plastic surgery meeting and I ask, a random plastic surgeon, hey, what are your thoughts on red light therapy? We don't talk about it in plastic surgery almost ever. Like it's not something we talk about. Whereas you go to, let's say, a natural medicine conference and people are going to talk a lot about it. So the idea behind red light therapy is that red light will help to stimulate the mitochondria of your cells to create more ATP or more energy. And essentially you're energizing your cells. So that's all fine and good theoretically, but what do the actual studies say? Have there been studies of people who've had red light therapy and they've applied it to their face for a couple of months, typically a couple of times a week, maybe for about 10 to 20 minutes each time? Does it do anything for your skin? And yes, there are a couple of relatively smaller studies that do appear to show that if you do red light therapy, that it can increase the collagen and the elastin content of your skin. Ideally, you want to look at, it's not going to be immediate. You've got to expect it's going to take 3 months, possibly longer. But the studies do appear to be supportive that red light therapy works. And so
Is that those crazy masks that look like you're going to rob someone?
So you can wear those creepy looking masks and scare your spouse with it. There are also tabletop devices that you can do. You can also, there's red light beds. You go to certain offices and they'll have an entire bed you put your whole body through. And so there's different ways to do it. I do think that either a tabletop device, if you get close enough to it, or the benefit of the mask is it's literally like right next to your skin. And the thing with red light therapy, unlike infrared, is it doesn't go very deep into your skin. Okay, it's pretty superficial. So yes, if you have it really far away from your face, you're not going to get the same benefit as if it's like right there. Some people who worry about the warmth of it, if you've got rosacea, if you've got melasma, the good thing about red light therapy is in general, it's considered to not have any temperature to it. And so the idea is even if you've got certain issues with heat sensitivity, most people tolerate red light therapy pretty well. But before you get started, if you do have major issues with your skin, I would definitely recommend talking with your dermatologist.
Okay, that you sold me on red light therapy. Do you sell a red light therapy system or mask or something?
I don't. I've been an affiliate for a company called Loombox. Dr. Vivian Chen, she's an alternative medicine doc that's her company. They have a tabletop one. I also have one by Current Body. I have no I don't work for them or anything. And that's one of those creepy looking masks. And one thing I started doing, which kind of makes sense, because, I'm a surgeon and I'm always like, I'm a kind of a guy who wants to get stuff done all the time, is like, okay, the red light mask, I can put that on. Like, you can't really do a whole lot when that thing's on your face. So I'm
Yeah.
like, well, maybe this is the time to meditate. I'll go like 10, I think it's only 10-minute sessions really is all you need for that. And that's perfect 10 minutes to meditate.
That is a really good strategy. Like that's what happened to me with sauna therapy. So someone said to me, you know what you can do is when you go into the sauna, bring a friend with you or bring, a book with you and you can keep the
Yeah.
phone on the outside or audiobook, I
Yeah.
mean. And I love that because I felt like, okay, I can do multiple things and bringing the friend with
I'm
me
gonna
idea.
multitask
Yeah.
meditation.
Yeah, it's so sad. It's very sad. Actually, I will say, because you're a physician and you probably are the same as me. So all throughout my training, all throughout college and medical school and residency and fellowship,
Yeah.
I was always trying to multitask, always trying to do as many things as I
Yeah.
could at once. What I have learned in my business, in my wellness business and my creative business as I write more and create more, that strategy is not the right strategy. My strategy now is to say to myself, what can I be in the moment for? What can I be in the flow for? Because honestly, someone who is multitasking and stretched very thin is never going to be able to be creative. There's never going to be big things that can come into your life when you are frazzled and overwhelmed. And I think that is such a departure from what I had learned for so many years, because I think we're almost taught you're not good enough, you're not working hard enough if you're not stretched to the absolute limit.
Yeah.
And I think that learning to actually pull back on that has been probably the best thing for my sleep, for my skin, for my health in general, and growth for myself and my business.
Yeah, and I 100% agree, because when you take a look at actually, especially if you're talking about business, it's better to get single tasks completed and go to the next one. And when you're looking at business, sometimes a single task could be, for example, like if you've got, like I've got my skincare line and it's like, oh, we are always looking at different products to add. And if I've got 6 products I haven't added, but I'm doing a little bit on each one, you don't get those out there. You don't actually make the profit out of it until you get them done. And that just takes much longer versus you get one done, you launch that product, then you move to the next one. And now you are technically, as a business person, that makes a lot more sense because now you're going to profit because you actually get things done. And I think for me as a surgeon, I've always been very goal oriented. I like to get things done. And for me, it's always, even if I like shovel our driveway, I look back with pride, like, oh, I got this done. Like there's that, for me, it's just like accomplishing things is helpful. So yeah, I think with my mindset, that works really well too, because I always look back and like, oh, I got this done, on to the next thing.
I love that. Speaking of your skincare line, I told you before we started recording that I actually really have enjoyed it because I think I received your both your a face wash and a vitamin C serum and a retinoid. And I've been using the foaming face. It's not foaming. It's like a cream face wash. I don't know which one that is.
Yeah. It lathers a little bit, but it's not too aggressive.
Yeah. And it's a vitamin C serum in the morning. And I wanted to tell you, I really enjoyed it. We actually,
thank you.
We have a retreat coming up. I would love to have you, not to put you on the spot, but if you're interested in having some of the members of the retreat try it or experience it in some way, it would be great. We can talk about that too. Because I think people just want it to be simple for them. And it's nice when there is something that you're using that feels like you're going straight to the source. I think there are lots of my friends and colleagues who do 12-step routines, and I think that's amazing, but you can just add on to the basics as you need. So I also wanted to shout out your book, Younger for Life. I think the science of actually using a holistic approach to feeling and looking younger is something I don't think we talk enough about in our training, and I don't think we talk enough about to our patients. And so I really want to thank you for that. Can you tell us a little bit more about kind of what you're working on next? What is the things that you want people to know about skincare or just better skin in general?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail really on the head. I think what I encourage people to do is start with that 2 minutes, 5 years younger skincare routine. Start with those basics, because if you do that and you do it regularly, you are going to see benefits from it. And, 10, 20, 30 years down the line, you're going to be much better for it. And honestly, if you just stick with that routine, you're going to be way ahead of 95% of people. That being said, if you want to add things to it, then by all means do that. One of the things that we talked about is how collagen itself, it degrades as we get older. And so the 2 minutes, 5 years younger skincare routine has retinol that can help with collagen. But if you want to add one more step, then why not add a peptide moisturizer? That's going to also help stimulate collagen.
What's your favorite?
So I have my own, of course.
Love
it's
it.
a peptide and bakuchiol moisturizer. Bakuchiol is a plant-based alternative to retinol, actually. And so for people who have real sensitive skin, if you listen to this, you go, you know what, I break out, my skin's super sensitive, or I tried retinol or Retin-A and it just was too aggressive. Then there was a study that compared bakuchiol, and this is from the leaves of the bobchi plant. It's been used in Ayurveda and ancient Chinese medicine for centuries. But they compared bakuchiol to retinol head-to-head and found fairly similar anti-aging benefits. And so we created this bakuchiol and peptide moisturizer where it combines really the two. And so for somebody, let's say, who's sensitive to retinol, if you've got real sensitive skin, then this would be a valid alternative. However, if you are a skincare enthusiast, if you're like, hey, I want to do everything I can to prevent aging of the skin, then you can combine the peptide bakuchiol with the retinol. And now you're hitting aging from like 3 different manners, from the peptide stimulating collagen production to the bakuchiol with its anti-aging, and then the retinol doing all of its stuff. You can definitely do that. And so really, I think knowledge is power. I think starting off with that general skincare routine and then building upon that if you want to. If you've got spots, that's something that I have struggled with over the years, then add a brightening cream to it. But if you don't have spots, like I don't see a single spot on your face, then you may not want to bother with the brightening cream.
I definitely hyperpigment, and I think that's part of my ethnicity in general. Like anytime if I have any kind of blemish, it ends up hyperpigmenting. So it's definitely something that I'm working on constantly.
So that's called post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. And people who have darker skin, you don't even have to have a lot darker skin. My skin isn't, I'm not African-American or anything like that. Yeah. What happens is if you get inflammation, it can then deposit melanin into the skin in clumps. And, my wife is Caucasian. She's got light skin. She gets a breakout. She gets a pimple. 3 weeks later, you can't even tell where that pimple was. I get a pimple, and 2 months later, there's still a dark spot there. So some things you can do for that is our brightening creams containing kojic acid, licorice root extract, niacinamide. Those can definitely help, but they do take a long time, 6 to 8 weeks. If it's really bothersome, you could consider doing IPL, that's intense pulse light. That's, I think, good bang for your buck for an in-office treatment. And then obviously it's just, trying to prevent those breakouts from happening.
So this is just a question about your diet. I ask everyone about, you're obviously trying to do all the right things. You're a very busy person though. So what is it that you do for your own personal diet?
So I grew up in the middle of Michigan, and I ate this weird combination of Korean food, which is like so healthy and like real food, and like Midwest meat and potatoes, fast food, and all that type of stuff. And so I've got this, unfortunately, I have this, I don't have a sweet tooth, but I have this like fast food tooth, I guess, that I have to always like, fight off. But what I've been trying to focus on is more ethnic food, and then more kind of real food, not, industrialized, over-processed type stuff. And so it's always been, for me growing up in the Midwest, living in Detroit, it's always been a struggle, but it's something that I focus on, and every day, you try to focus on that. So for me, it's, once again, it's trying to focus on these real foods that are not ultra processed. And then every once in a while, like anybody, I may splurge, because once again, I myself can tolerate, I think, a wide variety diet-wise. Like I'm not gluten sensitive, although if I have too much gluten, I don't feel so good. I don't do dairy. Dairy is something that I don't do. And then lately I have been prioritizing protein. But as a physician, as an anti-aging type of doc, it's very interesting. I was talking to my wife the other day. We know, and there's this big push towards protein because, we know it with menopause, how, women lose so much muscle mass. And with men, it's so important to be strong as you get older. But at the same time, if you talk to anti-aging doctors like Dr. David Sinclair and others, eating too much protein can, suppress longevity genes. And so there's this kind of push and pull. And so that's something that I myself too have struggled with. But really my main thing is trying to focus on eating more and more, just basically real foods.
Okay. Do you fast?
I do. So I do a good amount of intermittent fasting. That is part of the idea of autojuvenation. It's kind of when you eat type of thing. So for me, I'll do 12 to 16-hour fasts, ideally a couple of times a week. I have done the fasting mimicking diet a couple of times. I thought that was kind of interesting, and I felt great afterwards. I do believe in fasting, but I don't believe in doing these extended, long, prolonged fasts. I think especially in women after menopause, the problem with that is how are you going to get your protein in if you're not eating that much during the day? And so I think that there's a great benefit to it. So I encourage people to do it, but I think in moderation.
I think it's yin and yang because I think, you want to be strong as you get older. You want to have muscle mass. You want to have bone density. But there's also something very rejuvenating about doing a fast. So I agree with you. Doing an overnight fast, 12 to 16 hours is enough to kind of supercharge that. And maybe once in a while doing something like a Prolon or a fasting mimicking diet or a 24-hour dinner to dinner fast that's actually been shown to be really beneficial for cardiovascular health. So I think I do exactly what you're doing. When I can, I'm doing an overnight fast. And I think that's what works best, especially for women as they're getting into that perimenopausal range. So I could talk to you all day. We have to do this again. And I'm really appreciative of your time. Like I said, I loved your skincare. And I think people should check it out. But how can people find more about you? How can they follow you? How can they buy your book? All of it.
So thank you. The book is Younger for Life. It's available wherever books are sold. You can also go to autojuvenation.com, and we have a bunch of free gifts, including a gift certificate to our online store if you get the book. The online store is younbeauty.com. Youn Beauty is my skincare line and supplement line. And I've got my own podcast, The Dr. Youn Show, which I have to get you on, Amy, when you have time and you have something you want to chat about.
I'm super excited about that. And thank you for your time. I know you probably are like running to do that. So I am curious, what are you doing today? Tell us about your day and then we'll end it.
So today actually is a patient day. So I spent, I come in about 8 o'clock and I see patients from 9 to 5. They're consults, post-operative patients, stuff like that. I'm going to head home. So I'm in Michigan, so it's almost 6 o'clock here right now. So I'll head home, have dinner, do a bit of yoga. And then I've got a bunch of emails I still have to return. And then hang out with my kids a little bit. My daughter
How old are
recently
they?
so my daughter's 16, my son's 18. He's going to be going to college soon. And
Did he
lately
decide
I've been
yet?
watching a little bit of Survivor at night. So we're going to be watching maybe a little of that tonight. He's going to Michigan. Yeah.
Oh,
Michigan.
see, did you convince him? Is that your alma mater or no?
No, I actually went to Michigan State. So he got into both. And I said, I enjoy Michigan State. I'm a Spartan, but if you get into Michigan, go there instead. So that's where he's going.
So exciting. I have a 14 and 16-year-old, so I'm not very far behind you.
That's quick. You guys start looking at colleges now. Yeah.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah. It's adding to the whole juggling of everything, but I want to let you go so you can have some semblance of an evening with your family. I really appreciate the time that you spent with us. And there's so many things that people will take away from this interview that I think, even a few things that I didn't know and got clarity on. So I'm thankful for your time and expertise.
Well, thank you so much, Amy. This was a lot of fun and definitely look forward to chatting with you soon.
Yeah, see you soon. Thanks so much.